Alright, so we're going to go ahead and start up and then just taxi around and kind of check out this airport. It most likely will have very bad frames, so when you download it from the Pilot Edge website, you have an option for a light version, and in this version, I use this one just because it's a little bit more graphically, it looks a little bit nicer, although it is more graphically intensive, but the light version is supposed to have much better frame rate. I can't attest to that, I've not used it before, but let's go ahead and start up and go check out the airport. Alright, so while the radio stack boots up, we can start taxiing here. Obviously, I'm not doing this in real ATC, this is just to kind of review the airport, so don't do this normally. So already, just taxiing, the frame rate is much worse. So normally I get a little over 40 frames per second. This feels maybe like 20s or so. And actually now that I'm on, well, I don't know, it's not stuttering as much as it just feels like a little bit laggy. When I look out the window, it's fine, but looking straight ahead, kind of the sides of the screen where it starts warping, that looks a little bit weird and a little disorienting. So just taxiing down this main taxiway here, the entire South 40s is modeled. So this airport is basically just full of airplanes, just like the real thing. I think that's the big difference between this and the light version, is you're not going to have all those aircraft. So this is, I think, really cool. It's kind of the reason I like it over the default airport, is because the default airport just doesn't seem alive. There's not a whole lot going on. So just like the real thing, everything is in the right spot. So we have the South 40s here, and then off to the end there are all the tents for the Boeing Plaza, and they have all the markers just like in the real thing. And then over here we have a bunch of people. It's for Pilot Edge, so they do a big flight simulation, Simventure is what it's called, and that's to practice for the real thing. And so those are all simulating the marshalling people that you're going to have at the real Oshkosh. One nice thing is all these airplanes are different looking. So they've got everything. Right now we're passing the vintage area, just like the real thing. Again, they have this really nicely set up to simulate what it would actually be like in real life, and that's, I think, really key. They didn't just put a ton of airplanes down, they actually thought about where they should go in real life. So all the hangars are over there. They have aircraft in them as well. Some of them are actually modeled. I believe there's a couple different simulation vendors who have tents in the simulator, which is interesting. I don't see any of them though. So just taxiing, the frame rate though is really weird, because it is feeling very laggy. So little inputs like this, it's messing me up a little. So Boeing Plaza, it's got 747, looks like a KC-135 and a C-5 off in the corner there. Now we're in the kind of general aviation parking, so these are just standard Microsoft Flight Simulator models here of Cessnas, Beechcrafts, and let's see, is there a Mooney in there? Maybe, can't tell. So it's a nice mix though between them. They have the brown arch over there, so the big Airventure arch is off to the corner here, which is cool. So this is kind of cool. So we're kind of passing the experimental area, and they're actually moving to some different aircraft. So no more Cessnas and Beechcrafts. They're going to some Pipers, Lancers. I think they have the VL-3, it looks like, is one of the airplanes here. Let's see. I'm trying to look, I'm not paying attention where I'm going. Okay, and here's the Warbirds area. So they do have lots of Warbirds. That's cool to see. This specific scenery is from 2 years ago. It was too late to get the scenery from this year, but my guess is it's very similar. They mostly just update landmarks, NOTAMs, things like that. And then straight ahead, it looks like we have all the fighters. So let's see, they got F-18s, F-4s, F-16s, all those are in there. And off to the side is more Warbirds, more bombers, and things like that, B-25s and such. And then down at the end, they have all the private jets there, so that's all accurate. And once we take off, we'll fly over all these areas. So speaking of, we're going to get our lights on because we're at the runway here. flap set to 1 notch. And of course, meant to simulate everything, they have all the dots on the runway, so you have your various colored dots for landing, which is pretty cool. So here we go. There's the blue dot, and we're up by the blue dot. So we got the balloons over there, and then also the ultralight field is all modeled there as well, which is pretty cool. And we'll level off here. And yeah, so South 40s go all the way down. They don't have them as jam-packed as real life, but that's performance limitation, which makes sense. Here's the ultralight field, which is all modeled. They got some STOL aircraft, all the fencing, campers, all that, just like the real thing. And actually, it's kind of cool. They do have all the RVs and tents. And then, so here's Camp Scholler. They don't have any of the RVs and stuff modeled, but you can still see the main roads and all of that, and some of the major landmarks. Makes sense that they wouldn't model that though, because that is going to be very performance intensive. Alright, so there's the main parking area. It's modeled just very simply. They just put a bunch of cars down. They have the Goodyear blimp over here, which it's not actually been at Airventure for the last couple of years, unfortunately. But they have it here modeled. And then here's the North 40s, which is also nicely modeled. So we're going to do a loop around this way. Medium bank turn, 30 degrees. Of course, being Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020, everything in the area has photogrammetry and looks incredible, which is always nice. Alright. And this is the museum right here, which is all modeled. This is not normally in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020, so it's nice that they have that modeled. Going by the blimp. And then we're going to go fly over the main area of tents, which is also where right where Celebration Way starts. Okay, so main parking is here, right through the gates. They don't have the gates modeled, it looks like, but they have all the tents here, all modeled very nicely. Yep, they have a couple different flight simulation people who have their stuff. This looks like Sporties is there, and then right down Celebration Way, the Boeing Plaza, where they've got a couple of models there as well, which is all nice. And going over this kind of high object area with Boeing Plaza, Celebration Way, all that, the frame rate is definitely lower. However, once I'm kind of past that, it gets a lot better, which is good. So, also I'm not running this in the most powerful machine, so it makes sense. Alright, so flying over the warbird area, more tents continued, and then they have just a nice, simple warbird area set up, which is all good. And then here's the North 40s, which is all modeled again, has all the aircraft with their tents, goes all the way down, across the other end. And let's see, they got more of the aircraft. Normally they hold that for private jets and all that, but it looks like they just put down some more general aircraft. They have the private jets up here towards the terminal area. So very nicely done. It's got all the airport markers you would need, and then of course, being for training, all of the real life markers are there, so you can use this to practice the procedures and all that. And I've been to Oshkosh a couple times, and I can attest that this is very similar to the real thing. Very well done. Great for practicing procedures, entries, hitting the dot, all that sort of thing. And it pairs nicely with Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 because most of the area has photogrammetry, and so this is kind of just expanding what the simulator doesn't already have. Normally in the simulator, none of the aircraft are actually here. It's just an airport that's blank. looks really good. We're going to go for a full stop landing here on the pink dot. Right on the pink dot. A little firm, but hit my point, which is good. And we're going to hit our brakes here. And we'll exit and then go park here. I don't know if the seaplane base is done, like fully modeled. They have the markers for it in terms of the procedure, but it doesn't actually model. I'm not sure if it actually models the different seaplanes. So here's an example. They have the marshalling set up, telling me, I need to go this way, and then each of the people have their little arrow. We're not going to listen to that because I'm going to go park right back here, but it's nice to see that they have all of that modeled and modeled correctly. Alright, there we go. Get our flaps up, get our lights off. Avionics are going to come off. And we'll pull the mixture back to the flag views. There we go. Alright, so final thoughts on the Flight Simulator scenery pack from Pilot Edge on Oshkosh. It's really nicely done. That's to be expected. So it's made specifically so you can practice the arrival, and that's very clearly, they've done a really good job. So if you can get your hands on this scenery, I highly recommend you grid it. You have to have a Pilot Edge account to download it, but if you do a free trial, you can get access to it. And then you can only do it during the period which they're having Simventure. After that, they pull it down. So you just grab it during that period, and it doesn't expire. It doesn't lock you out afterwards. And like I said, this is a pack from like 2 years ago or something like that when I tried Pilot Edge, and still has it, still works. So I highly recommend you pick it up. I'll have a link below of where you can get it. So if it's live, that's where you can get it from. Most likely it won't be. Unless you're watching this during Oshkosh, in which case, go to Oshkosh, it's so much fun. So, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll catch you guys next time. See ya!